Good afternoon, everyone. It is noon, so we'll go ahead and get started. Welcome to the October 28th midday meeting of the Rotary Club of Rochester. I am Audrey Betcher, the president of your club. To get things started, Joel Hawk will lead us in the four-way test. Sorry.
Fellow Rotarians and any guests, please join me. Of all the things we think, say, or do, first, is it the truth? Second, is it fair to all concerned? Third, will it build goodwill and better friendships? And fourth, will it be beneficial to all concerned? Thank you.
Thank you, Joel. Julie Brock will provide a reflection today. And I know she's online.
Ashok is asking about audio.
Yep, I'm checking.
Okay, we're working on it, Ashok.
Oh, I don't know what the issue is. So they can't hear us?
Apparently not. Mike is.
Julie, can you hear us?
I can hear you just fine.
No.
It's okay.
I can hear you as well. You're coming through nicely.
You can't hear them.
Thank you.
Try it now.
You want to try it again? Now can you hear us?
I can hear you now, and I could hear you before. You sound very good.
Me too. Are you able to hear us?
Oh, they can hear us. We can't hear them.
Right.
Okay, how about
They can
me?
hear us. Okay.
I think that's what Julie was trying to say in her sign language, but I'm not.
I can hear
I'm
you.
not real sure.
I can hear you now. Can you hear me?
I'm really confused. Ashok says he can't hear anything.
Can hear you,
Lauren
Julie.
said she-
Brock, I can hear you.
Where's
Thanks.
my tech team at? Do they skip out?
Okay.
Mike Newman, I can hear you too.
Okay, good.
So we can hear each other, I think, here.
Yeah,
Okay, they just can't hear us.
yeah. Maybe we'll have our own meeting.
That would be fine. They could just watch us have our own meeting.
Well, we can't hear Julie either. That's Jim's. That's not us.
Our speaker.
So check the speaker. Check the speaker settings, not the microphone settings.
Yeah, you have speaker on mute to the laptop. In the bottom right.
Bottom.
Oh, I was like, what is in the bottom right, you guys?
Okay, how's that?
We've turned that up.
That sounds
Julie,
good.
can you talk again?
Sure. Can you hear me now?
Oh, we can barely hear you.
Just a sec, because it's on the computer. So just a sec.
Okay.
It's right behind your chat bar.
What now?
We can hear you,
Okay,
and you sound really good.
okay, because we can barely hear you.
What if I use my teacher voice? No? All right.
Yeah.
There we go.
Okay. Try
Okay, do
again.
you want, how's this? Can you hear me now?
What in the world?
I can just,
Okay.
I can type.
Just what-
Just try something here quick, please. See what
Julie, I'm the presenter today, so.
never does.
Oh, so
Julie,
we
could
really
you
do need to
present-
get it set for you.
Julie, could you present your content in the form of an interpretive dance?
Yes, Mark, I could do that. I could do that.
Can everybody hear that? Okay, we'll do that. Go ahead, Julie.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, good. All right. So I think this is apropos then. My reflection for today, let me pull it up, is not in that document. I got so excited about interpretive dance. Okay. I think sometimes when we change seasons, we take stock of what's happening. And so I wanted to share a poem that I really love by Mary Oliver called Storage. When I moved from one house to another, there were many things I had no room for. What does one do? I rented a storage space and filled it. Years passed. Occasionally I went there and looked in, but nothing happened. Not a single twinge of the heart. As I grew older, the things I cared about grew fewer, but were more important. So one day I undid the lock and called the trash man. He took everything. I felt like the little donkey when his burden is finally lifted. Things, burn them, make a beautiful fire. More room in your heart for love, for trees, for the birds who owe nothing. They own nothing, and that's the reason they can fly. So as you take stock coming into winter, I hope that you burn off the things and you hold dear those that matter to you.
Thank you, Julie. Patricia McLeese is here to talk about recycling.
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. First, I do want to publicly thank Audrey for her participation in the One Rotary Summit. She did an absolutely fantastic job of being a facilitator, so thank you, Audrey. And now I'm going to share a new project that Greater Rochester Rotary is doing. And it is what I'm looking for are businesses that may have a lot of plastic waste. Because if you do, we're going to take that plastic and we're going to turn it in so it can be made into the decking and the chairs that look like wood, but they're really plastic. And that's what we're doing. It's called Plastics to Benches. And these are the things that we're looking for. The stretch film, the pallet wrap, any case over wrap on things, of course, any of these things, but I'm thinking of businesses, the air pillows, the bubble wrap, electronic wrap, plastic wrap, shipping envelopes. These are the kinds of things that we're looking for. The companies that I have signed up already are so grateful that they have an opportunity to get rid of that plastic waste in a productive way. So if any of you are interested, it would be great. My ultimate hope is that if we do this right this year, and it really does work, then maybe all 3 clubs would want to participate in it next year. So maybe the Rochester Club would want to, as a group, collect these things that you have a lot of plastic in your home and then make one big contribution, or I'll come back and to your meetings and pick up your bags of trash. But this is what we're doing, and thank you for the opportunity to share.
Thank you, Patricia. So if there's a business that's interested, they should contact you.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm the one.
All right. Thank you, Patricia.
Thank you.
Suzanne, do we have any visitors or guests today? No visitors or guests. No visitors or guests. Okay.
Yes, there are. I was gonna say, hang on.
Yep.
Just give me 1 second to wrangle them. 9th graders, volume at a level 0, please. Okay, I am zooming in from 9th grade science. Today we're learning about the periodic table. So we have about 20 guests on my Zoom. And you can't see their faces, but they're behind me for privacy reasons. So I'm zooming in from my classroom. Audrey, I'm wondering if you could just give these 9th graders a 1-minute blurb about Rotary, because these are our future leaders here.
Absolutely. Okay, so Rotary is a service club that our motto is service above self. So we're here to do good things in our community and build relationships with each other, because we know when we work together, we can do amazing things together. It's a worldwide organization. There are 2 million Rotarians, 1.2 million Rotarians worldwide, and we work with clubs all over the world to make great things happen.
Awesome. 9th graders, can we give a round of applause for Audrey, please? Thank you. Thank you. And 9th graders in Rotary, we do lots of asking questions, just like in science. Do we have 1 question from the audience for Audrey about Rotary? 1 question? They're nervous. No questions. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Lauren. And welcome, class. That's awesome. So we're going to celebrate some birthdays today that are in the next 2 weeks. Mark Neville is November 2nd. Jim Sloan is also November 2nd. Carolyn Bailey is November 5th. Al DeBoer is November 8th. Anniversaries, we have Zoe Jansen at 4 years, Tim Weir at 15 years, Sarah Burrington, 27 years, Steve Sperling's 27 years, Phil is at 28 years, and Sarah Gilliland is at 33 years. Let's celebrate these birthdays and anniversaries. I want to give thanks to all our bowlers and Polio Plus supporters. Money is still being collected to support End Polio Now. If you contribute at least $100 to Polio Plus, the donation will be matched 1-to-1 with recognition points. And if you donate at least $365 to Polio Plus, the district will utilize recognition points to make the donor a Paul Harris Fellow. The easiest thing to do is just to go online to rotary.org and make that donation, or you can also give a check to Amber and we'll make sure that gets credited to our club's Polio Plus campaign. So thank you to everybody. And thanks to Patricia who sent out the press release and got some press for us. So that was fantastic. Our member highlight today is from Mel Trimble.
Hi, everybody. So my name is Melody Trimble, or Mel, that I do like to go by. So I want to give a little bit of an introduction of who I am and what brought me to Rotary. So I was born in Cancer Air Force Base up in Upper Michigan in the UP. It's just outside, or was just outside Marquette, Michigan. The base has since closed. But my parents still live there in the house that I grew up on out in the woods that we love. And I also went to college in Marquette at Northern Michigan University. I majored in diagnostic genetics with a concentration in molecular genetics, which brought me out to Mayo, of course. This second picture here is of our family, my family, back home with my sister and my parents, as well as my husband and son. Next, please. So our family, we have my husband and son and I live here in Rochester. My husband's parents live here as well. My husband is a teacher at Mayo High School. He teaches chemistry. So shout out to the chemistry kids on the call. I'm not sure which school you're from, but like I said, he teaches at Mayo. He's been teaching chemistry, a little bit of physics as well for 20 years. He's also the head wrestling coach there. He's been coaching for the full 20 years, but head coach for 12 years here. Our son is 12 years old. He, of course, is a wrestler as well. You kind of have to when your dad's the head coach and you grow up in the role. But he's a sixth grader at Friedel Middle School, doing fantastic and brilliant young man. And we're super proud of him for all his achievements in athletics and academics. So, of course, he wrestles, but he also plays football, and he tried tackle this year and really loved it. And we're hoping that little notch up in aggression on the football field will carry into the wrestling room here as we transition to wrestling. But our family, we love everything outdoors. We love to travel. We prefer anywhere hot and with a beach if preferable. So we have been to the Caribbean a lot, Costa Rica. The La Cruz picture was from Costa Rica this summer. We were able to travel there, our postponed 2020 trip. And in Cancun this summer, our son tried scuba diving with us. My husband and I are both certified. He did an intro class and loved it. So the water's a little cloudy there, but he wants to get certified now. He's hooked. So we're hoping the next trip we can get that accomplished and we can dive as a family. So what brought me out to Mayo was molecular genetics. I work for Mayo in the Department of Lab Medicine and Pathology. So that's the department that has all of the laboratories that perform a huge range of tests. We have over 61 specialty labs across 9 divisions, and I'm in the Division of Lab Genetics and Genomics, which is where molecular genetics mostly is. Our department has over 4,000 employees, and my division alone has over 400 employees. And pre-COVID, we were testing over 50,000 samples a day. With COVID, at the peak, we were testing that many samples of just COVID samples in one day, not my labs, but other labs that we support. So with genetics, many of you have heard of common inherited diseases like cystic fibrosis, or there's also a lot of inherited cancers. as well as cancers that we pick up on our own that cause changes to our genetics, typically in our DNA. And so molecular genetics focuses down at the DNA level, where if you've heard of cytogenetics, that focuses at the chromosome level. And so this picture on here kind of depicts multiple areas of genetic testing. And we also have biochemical genetics, and a lot of their focus is on newborn screening and confirming what could be early diseases in those newborns that if they get treatment right away, it can save their life or improve their life greatly. So next slide, please. So for molecular genetics, just to kind of put it into perspective for everybody, every cell in your body that has a nucleus, and can try not to get in the weeds too much, we can extract DNA, and that is the code that makes up who you are, what color hair, what color eyes, if you are susceptible to this or that, all kinds of things, your height. A lot of it we get from our parents. We get a copy from our mom and a copy from our dad. But within our bodies, every cell that contains DNA has approximately 6 to 9 feet of DNA. And so in that picture is DNA that's been extracted, and it kind of looks like a snot ball in liquid. And that's that DNA that we've extracted from a sample. And we can extract that from, like I said, anything with nucleated cells. Most often it's blood, but we can do cells from saliva, your cheek swabs. We also do a lot of tumor testing. So there's a biopsy taken out and we can test it fresh where it's still that chunky piece of meat, or it can be put onto slides and stained that we can scrape off. And there's a huge variety of samples we can test from. So with that, once we get DNA, we can perform a huge range of test platforms on it. One of the newest ones is next generation sequencing that people maybe hear about, and that's how they do things like 23andMe to know what kind of traits you have. They're looking at your genetic makeup. The picture I have here is from another sequencing platform called Sanger sequencing, and we're looking for changes in your DNA. So when there's supposed to be an A for that nucleotide, is it an A or is it something else? So this is just an example of where there's an alteration on one of those copies of DNA that's not supposed to be there. And once we get that information, our genetic counselors and our consultants can research it to say, is this disease causing or is this benign, and it will have no impact on you. Where it's important for our tumor samples is if we find the right mutation, or we know a person has a certain mutation, it can make them eligible for certain drug treatments where that drug is targeting that mutation to turn off or turn on something so that that tumor stops growing from that perspective. So there's a huge range of applications for genetic testing, and this is just a small piece of it here. Next, please. All right, so why did I join Rotary? It really started well over 20 years ago. That got me to know what Rotary is. So it started with a life-changing experience. As a sophomore in high school, my mother told me about this thing called Rotary Youth Exchange. And I was like, oh, that'd be really cool. I can go somewhere else in the world. I won't be my mom and dad. That'd be awesome. Get away from my sister. But I had never moved houses. I had never started a new school. But at that point, excitement won over the nerves, and I became a Rotary Youth Exchange student. I spent a year in Australia. So next slide, please. So I traveled to Adelaide in South Australia there, kind of down in the bottom middle, and my host parents picked me up from the airport and took me on a 2-hour drive to where I lived for the year called Waikerie. Next slide. So Waikerie is in what they call the Riverland, along the River Murray, and it's about 2 hours from Adelaide, which is the capital of South Australia. My host parents were fantastic. My host mom was a local Rotarian, and she was actually my counselor as well. But while I lived in Australia, I lived with 4 different families. And this is a picture of all but one of my dads that's taking the photo. And we would get together for meals from time to time as well. So Rotary, my youth exchange was amazing. My families were outstanding. They took me places. They invited me on events with them. Everybody in Rotary was amazing. It was a highlight. I always loved going to the Rotary meetings on Wednesdays for dinner and getting to know everybody. And I got to do a lot of traveling. I've probably seen more of Australia than I have of the US because of them. a little backwards, but amazing country. And I've had experiences where I've got to hold a koala, I've got to feed kangaroos, and some of those types of things. But I also connected with a lot of other youth exchange students. So when I was there, this was the group that was in our district from all over the world. And we would get together for conferences and an end of the year trip where we flew up to the Great Barrier Reef and we took a 2-week bus trip down the coast across the country to Ayers Rock and then back down to South Australia. So that year was phenomenal. I didn't want to come back. I was there over 1999, 2000. I was really hoping when Y2K hit, everything would crash and I wouldn't have to come back. Like, that was my goal. It didn't happen, but I built relationships. I have another family in Australia, multiple families, but I got very, very close with one family. Next slide. And they have been over to visit multiple times. My parents have been here for my high school graduation, my college graduation, our wedding, when our son turned 1. And in 2012, that whole family, 6 of them, came over for a white Christmas. Next slide. For most of them, they had never seen snow before. They didn't get snow where they are. Unless you travel to the mountains for a ski trip, they didn't see snow. So my nephews loved it. They went sledding, they built snowmen, they stuck their tongue out when it was snowing to catch snow on their tongues. Next slide, please. And they got to experience dog sled rides as well. So our family is extended. We have family in Australia. I talk about my sisters, my nephews. They're not blood, but they are as close as they could be with blood family. And then we've also been reciprocated. So we go over as often as we can. As an adult, unfortunately, it's not as easy to go as often as I would like. In college, I was fortunate to go over pretty much annually. And I stayed with my family. I got to visit, but when our son was 5, we took the big trip over to Australia and he got to experience a lot of the things that I had seen or parts of it. Petting a kangaroo. We went to Darwin. He got to hold a crocodile and do all kinds of amazing experiences. And thankfully, not knowing it, but in 2019, we took another trip over and you can see the age differences. Those 2 nephews in the crocodile photo are the 2 tall ones here now. But we got to do other experiences when he was around 10 then he would have been. And as scuba divers, also in my family over there, we did an extended trip up to Bali and got to go diving with my host family. So as a youth exchange student, it's been really a life-changing event that started 20 years ago. It's what got me into travel. It's what got me into genetics with my biology teacher there in Australia. We have extended family. My parents have been over to visit as well. And that's what brought me back to Rotary. I wanted to give back to the program that changed my life. And as such, I am on the Youth Exchange Committee. I've took over from Samantha as chair of that committee. And we are looking to send students out next year and host students again. So we'll continue this conversation next week when we talk about committees, and hopefully we can build up our Youth Exchange Committee and have a few more people to help change others' lives as well. So thank you.
I have a question for Mel.
Sure.
Can you get genetics from I watched CSI. Can you get genetics from from your here? If I pull out one of my, I don't want
Yes.
it, but I don't have a lot of.
You can, but you need the follicle that comes out of the base of your hair to get the living part, because your hair is dead here, but you need the inside parts of it.
And then I have a recommendation. I'd like Mel to come back and talk more about that molecular biology stuff
Okay.
sometime.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah. Sounds good.
Is Janine on?
maybe, probably.
Janine, if you're on, I hope you are taking notes. Otherwise, we'll send you an email. Thank you very much, Mel.
Actually not.
Okay, that's fine. I'll send her an email. Okay. Other things going on, the board met, and on your tables are the approved structure. So we really appreciate all the feedback from the session we had early in October. We listened to what you said, and so a couple of things to note. there, we've added 2 more positions to the board. We've added a diversity, equity, and inclusion position on the board, and we've also added measurement on the board. So we merged a couple of the old into engagement. So, oh gosh, I've already forgotten the name. So the social group, anyway, and the meeting activities have been merged into engagement. And then, but you'll notice that a lot has stayed the same. So if you have any questions about the structure, let me know. Let me know. But we really did, we absolutely listened to what you said in our meeting. And so if you have questions, let me know. It's already time to start the nominating committee. So that committee has been created. And we also started talking about our meeting location past December. So we're committed to this location through December. And then we're looking at, are we going to stay here or are we going to move? So if you have any thoughts, right now we've had a new proposal from the Country Club, and we've also heard from the Eagles Club who would like to host us. So if you have comments, please contact anybody on the board.
I have a comment.
Yes.
I'd like to stay here. Wow.
No, that's, yeah. Yeah.
That's my comment.
Okay. All right. All right. Sounds good. So as Mel alluded to, mark your calendars for next Thursday. We'll be in person back here at the Country Club for a committee fair. So first Thursdays will become our committee work time, but we're kicking that off by that change by giving everyone an opportunity to learn more about the different committees that you're able to join. So there'll be lots of opportunities to get more involved. And sometimes I know we don't always know where we can get involved. When next week is your chance to come and to walk around and hear about different programs or committees that you can join. Any other announcements before we, did I miss anything?
You know, when you do that. I was just talking for small groups. If you have something that you can offer in one of the 4 categories, they just did the social at Heather's, right? Vicky and Terry's. Vicky and Terry's. It's amazing. I don't know why I said Heather, but stuff like that. So social learning,
Service,
and what's the 4th one?
virtual.
Yes. So anything that you can think of creatively, reach out to, not me, Christine. Since she's heading it up, you can reach out to me too, that's fine.
Yeah.
Can I ask, what did Vicky and Terry do?
So they had a wine tasting.
Wine, beer tasting, whiskey tasting, squash soup, German food galore. It was a party. It was a.
They hosted Oktoberfest.
Yes, they hosted Oktoberfest. Wine, beer, I hear whiskey tasting, and appetizers.
Where was that?
It was in your email, Colin.
It was an option. It was one of the 4 options to pick from. So the 3rd Thursday in November, we'll also be doing that again. So, but it'll be 4 new options. So watch for more details about that. But Christine is absolutely, she needs your help. So anything, we're already twisting Phil's arm to show us this way working. So lots of great things we can be doing. So we know you all are passionate about something and can show us what you love. So with that, we're going to start the program. Mike Newman is our speaker today. Mike has lived in Rochester for most of his life. He was in the first class to open John Adams Junior High and a John Marshall graduate. Mike spent a very fulfilling 40-year career at IBM, Hitachi, HGST, and Western Digital, where Mike retired as Director of Customer Support in June of 2018. Mike has also been a realtor for nearly 15 years, with the past 13 spent at Edina Realty. His passion for real estate began with his first home purchase at Country Club Manor when he was 20. He's built and remodeled multiple owner-occupied properties and currently self-manages his rental properties. The Rochester real estate market has been very exciting for all of us this past year. Mike is married to Julie, who recently retired with 40 years at Mayo Clinic and is currently working in a supplemental capacity in the Department of Nursing. Mike and Julie have 2 grown married children, a son in Atlanta with a 7-year-old grandson and a daughter in Lakeville with a 3-week-old granddaughter. Mike is connected today via Zoom out of newborn COVID concerns and is spending the day as Papa with the little one in Lakeville. Mike has been a member of the Rotary Risers since joining Rotary in 2009. He's a past president and is the current chair of the 3 Rochester Club World Community Service Committee. He also serves on the Risers Fundraising Committee. Mike is active in his church on the Finance Committee and the Tanzania Mission Partnership Team. If it's broke, Mike can probably fix it, and a fun day for Mike involves anything water related, which could occur in Minnesota or Florida, where he spends the cold winter months. With that, I'm going to turn it over to you, Mike.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the introduction there. Can you see the rotary wheel, I hope?
We can.
Okay, and just mentioned that Dr. Ashok Patel and Lauren Anderson will also be presenting today, so we appreciate their help. So today's meeting really is to inform you about the grant activity that we have underway, the way that we're taking your money and spending it internationally. And then also, I do have a training for you at the end, so I hope that you can stick with me. And if we make it all the way through all of these slides again, hopefully we can train and inform you. We do meet monthly. We meet on the 2nd Wednesday of the month at 7 a.m. Anybody's welcome to join. We're represented from the 3 clubs. And we're lucky to have Judy O'Fallon on this committee because she also is the district representative at the Global Grants Committee. So she helps us, keeps us on the straight and narrow. There's 3 ways that we spend your money. One of them could be a global grant if the project is over $35,000. If it's under $35,000, it's a district grant. And then we can also contribute to other Rotary clubs within the district or outside the district. By spending the money in this manner through the grant process, we can take a small contribution from the Rochester clubs and multiply it into a fairly substantial amount of money that we can use to support the grant through the world. So we allocate the money 3 ways from the contribution from the 3 clubs here. So we operate as one unit representing the grants, and we split our funds, the annual budget of $10,000, roughly 10 or 11,000, in a 60%, 20%, 20% manner. So it basically is pretty much targeted at the funding that we have from the 3 clubs contributing together. This is a snapshot of what we did last year, the 2020-21 budget. And in this case, we supported 5 different projects. Each of the projects were again, international projects. We meet as the World Community Service Committee. We talk about projects or grant requests that come in, and then we decide if we're interested in supporting those or not. And you can also see that we also have led grants here and have a couple of grants listed, the Teleeducation Grant and the World Without Orphan Grant, which you'll hear more of today, that are our 2 big grants that we kicked off last year and funded in some cases from last year's budget and some of the clubs from this year's budget. But again, we're working with other clubs outside of the Rochester district or Rochester area as well to help support their grants, and again, with hopes that they support ours as well. So from a 2021-22 budget so far this year, we haven't spent a lot of money. We've spent $2,000 committed. We still have other funds to spend, and we've got other projects that will be coming in that we'll assess and look at. And if a new grant through our 3 clubs surfaces, we may generate a new grant and add that to the list as well. So from a historical perspective, we've supported many grants here for the last several years. The real message from this chart is that a little money from the Rochester clubs can turn into a lot of money in the terms of a grant in a different country. So many of the projects that we support are wells and equipment, things like that. But again, we've got a long history here of engagement and supporting many different geographies throughout the world. This next project here is you've heard about probably the nutrition and the pulmonary project. Just on the nutrition project, Joanne Rosner now is wrapping this one up for us. It involved training and gardens in Guatemala, because 47% of the children in Guatemala are stunted and are not getting the adequate nutrition that they need to grow. So again, this grant we've had underway now for a couple of years. We anticipated that it would have closed last year if it weren't for COVID. Things halted, and now we've restarted. And again, we're in the final stage here, just wrapping up the paperwork, the finances, and expect this grant to close. But again, it was a very successful project, and we did impact many lives here through this effort. This next one here is the pulmonary project, and this one is the one that Dr. Patel is leading. And again, he's going to tell you more about this project. This one again has been underway for a while and is nearing completion. So, Dr. Patel.
Yeah, thanks, Mike. Can I share my screen?
Yes.
Can everyone see that now?
Yes.
Okay. So again, thanks for Rotary's World Community Service and the mentors and all of your financial generosity for this project. As Mike said, this is another project we're doing in Guatemala. This one focused around installation of indoor vented cooking stoves and also environmental education. The area that was targeted are the families, about 160 families in the San Lucas Toloman area, which is near Lake Atitlan. Again, thank you for the $55,000+ that was leveraged to get this project almost done. Here's what Lake Atitlan looks like. You think that air quality should be really good around that area, but in the homes, the indigenous people, which make up most of that population, have poor indoor air quality, and a lot of the respiratory symptoms in children and mothers are related to that poor indoor air quality. So our goal for the 2019-2021 global grant was to replace 160 unventilated stoves, and we were despite COVID, because of the trust and relationships we built on the ground, we're able to get that accomplished. Our other steps to the project were to do a respiratory assessment using a spirometry device and indoor air quality sampling. We're using the AirBeam system, and then to partner with St. Lucas, Friends of St. Lucas, to do education at both the community level as well as the individual family level. And here's the construction of the stove. We were able to complete the 160 stoves. We have to go back and make sure that they're all up to code. And most of the challenges, that top little hat that goes at the outside of the roof that needs to be secured and protected, especially during rainstorms. The effects on the 160 families and the 25 previous is basically improved air quality and respiratory symptoms, and the partnerships that are forged across the communities that were involved. And here's just some pictures from why it's so important to have the boots on the ground that understand the culture, understand the people, and can motivate the change that we're looking for. So I wanted to just close by saying it takes a village to fix a village. And Dr. Toon, Lilium Aroyave, Don Baldus, Don Supala, the Rotary clubs here really have made that connectivity. We also celebrate in the last 6 months of our project here, the environmental health literacy and education, which Rotary is also promoting. They really have added protecting the environment as a number 7 global theme that we can invest in and make changes for. this upcoming week, the UN, who is a Rotary partner, is also hosting a 12-day event in Glasgow. And their emphasis for the country of partnerships around the world is to, again, protect communities, restore ecosystems, avoid losses of homes from deforestation and other phenomena, and to collaborate. And you'll hear more about the collaboration from Lauren's project on our partnerships for teleeducation. So I'm just going to close by saying my respiratory work at Mayo gets extended across the world with the help of global mentors like yourselves and investors. And it really takes a global collaboration. I've just got to reinforce that this has been a 25-year journey that started in Africa back in 1995 for me and goes on now with responsibilities in global health security and global systems security operations within Mayo. So I'm going to just stop there. Rotary I entered in 2005 thanks to Judy O'Fallon, and she still mentors me as part of the World Community Service. Thank you. I'll stop sharing. Back to you, Mike.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Dr. Patel. We appreciate that. We have two new grants now that we've kicked off here. The first one that Lauren Anderson is going to jump in and talk to us about is the teleeducation grant. And in this case, we're contributing $5,000 from the 3 Rochester clubs, and we're generating $95,000, over $95,000 in the grant to help kick this one off. Again, Ashok mentioned that there's a lot of partnership, which you'll hear some more of. There's the grant is training focused, and with a successful outcome here, 3 million patients could be impacted by the year 2022. And before I turn it over to Lauren, I just want to show you this slide again. These grants are not easy. The Rochester Club contributes, but then our role is to go find money from other clubs. And Lauren has done a great job at helping lead this effort. And you can see that we've got a lot of involvement from not only clubs within 5960, but also clubs outside of our district. So again, it's an important task to do the fundraising piece of it. And without contributions from the club and others, these grants don't happen. So Lauren, I'll turn it over to you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mike, for the introduction. Yeah, first, I just want to say thank you to everyone who is a member of Rotary. Prior to having Audrey explain a little bit to my class, I explained a little bit to the 9th graders, and I talked a little bit about how people put their money where their mouth is in Rotary and contribute some money that it's pooled, and that we decide as Rotarians how it can do a lot of good in the world. And they thought that was super cool. So we must be on the right track if 9th graders are excited about it. Yeah, Mike was right in saying we actually now, I think, have 26 different contributions from 4 different districts, including actually the district in Uganda that we're working with. We submitted for approval, I think, a little over a month and a half, maybe it's been 2 months now, I think 2 months ago in late August. And the grant made it to the country level. So we're working with CAHFO. We have a core group, CAHFO Minnesota, that helps steer this effort. And the goal is to serve as a leading global resource in teleeducation by 2030. And we're starting with Kagezi Healthcare Foundation in Uganda, and they're focused on serving patients throughout the Kabale region and further abroad. They're one of the only healthcare institutions in Uganda that provide care on a sliding-based scale because health insurance doesn't necessarily exist in that country. So quite a different system, and they're doing some great things. Mike, you can go to the next slide. So there have been a lot of highlights. We have been recognized by the Uganda Healthcare Federation, listed as an EUN project partner through Dr. Patel and his work group, received Rotary endorsement in the amount of $95,000 of committed funds across 26 different entities or clubs and 4 different districts, including DDF from other districts as well. and endorsed by the Mayo Clinic Abroad Small Grants Program 2 years ago. We brought the founder and executive director of the program to Minnesota to present and engage partners. And then also we're going to be partnering with the University of Minnesota to provide some internship type opportunities for students to work with this grant after approval. You can go to the next slide. So just a bit of the fundraising breakdown. We have 95 plus, I think it's actually almost 96 in current contributions. And you can see 38,000 of that was DDF, not all from our district, of course, and 26,000 of cash contributions, allowing 30,000 for the World Fund match. If you guys didn't know, the World Fund match changed. If some people were like, oh, why isn't it 100% now? It's at less. That's normal now. You can go to the next slide. So the process for approval in Uganda is way different than our process here. It's super time consuming. There are a lot of people involved. It's one thing that I'm learning in Rotary is patience for sure. So the process of this grant is now done with CGC approval, which you can see is the country grants chair. They were requesting some edits so that it was just totally in compliance. Also, as the grant has gone along and had more and more partners, I think we have now like 12 university partners in Uganda. Everyone wants to have a little bit of a say, which has been a little challenging, but exciting to manage. So it's been slower than I wish, but now with our last addition of $1,000 contribution from the district of Kabale in Uganda, I will be resubmitting again for it to go up to the DGC approval level, and that should go quickly to final approval, and then we'll be able to get things kicked off. We have a growing list of over 1,000 people that want to be involved in the program on the ground in Uganda, learning teleeducation and educational literacy. So as soon as we're ready to kick things off, there is a huge need and a ton of interest. You can go to the next slide. So I just like to include this, Dr. Angayo, he's the executive director and founder of the organization, who also was here 2 years ago through the Mayo Clinic Small Grants Program. He says, ladies and gentlemen, it's now you to join me to fight disease, ignorance, and poverty in Africa using community-based solutions in education. Community involvement has a lasting impact, one that cannot be easily forgotten. And I think Rotary has done a fantastic job of modeling that. For me as a young person, for even younger people like my students, and then also for communities abroad as we work with now 26 different contributors to put on a project that's going to have an immense impact and an ongoing impact for years. And then just a thank you. Yeah, I'm super grateful to have been to be a member of the Rochester Rotary, and the World Community Service team is really what keeps me showing up as a Rotarian. So thank you to WCS especially. You guys are awesome mentors, and thank you to the Rochester Rotary. You're a great club to be connected to as a young person.
Thank you very much, Lauren. Lauren's done the heavy lifting on this grant, and based on that last flow chart that we saw, I hope that you all realize these grants are not easy. It's not easy to write a grant and get it pushed through here and dot all the I's and dot all the T's that Rotary requires. And again, Lauren has put tons of hours in this, and again, her passion is really going to change the world. So thank you, Lauren. We appreciate it. The second grant that we're kicking off, so that was the first new one there with Lauren's project. The second one is a new grant that we're submitting called World, with a partnership with World Without Orphans. Nick Rethmeyer and Terry Rummans and Joanne Rosner from our club are all three involved in helping push this one through. So again, this one's generated by the Risers. It's $25,400 district grant. And in this case, 2,000 from the Rochester clubs, and we're still fundraising with about $6,000 outstanding that we have to raise. So we're tin cupping right now, and again trying to find that other 50 some or 5,000 some dollars here. So in this case, we're going to work in partnership with World Without Orphans to deliver virtual training in multiple countries. And the other Rotary clubs within these districts will also benefit from that training and then help pass that training on as well. In this case, the plan is to train around 240 workers an impact to around 144,000 children. When you think about the impacts of COVID and parents leaving in other countries due to COVID deaths, the number of orphans have increased. You've heard a lot about it on the news, and it's again a worldwide problem, not just a local problem. So again, with this grant here, we'll hopefully generate a lot of impact and make a difference here. So this is the training plan that's in place, and how we multiply 240 training with 240 leaders impacting 144,000 children. So as I said, we're in the fundraising stage on this one right now. We've got the grant submitted and initially approved, and we just need to, again, find funds for this one. So if you, other organizations or yourself want to make a contribution here, again, please get a hold of us and we'll get that money routed in towards the grant. So from a summary standpoint, our role again is to spend the money that you give to your Rotary Club and to spend it on these grants. We're utilizing money from both the district and international to increase our efforts. And our goal here is to spend all the money that we're given each year here. This is the summary of what really was done in the past 3 years here. So you heard, if I start from the bottom there, you heard about the nutrition and the pulmonary grant. We also were involved in a water probe sensor. In this case, the Wednesday Club led this grant, and we partnered here with a company called EOS, and we added water sensors to wells that were already established. And in partnership with the University of Iowa, they were able to monitor the well activity in the countries where the wells were installed from the campus in Iowa. And it's really been a great effort. It proved that we really can monitor well and water quality from afar. And with this grant here now, we've proven the technology, and now they're looking to expand that process beyond where we've done before. And then the teleeducation project really started with a Shark Tank effort where there was some extra funds. And again, Lauren and Ashok helped lead that. That was a $4,300 total value project. And that one then again turned into the $95,000 or $96,000 grant that's underway now. And then lastly, on the top there, the World Without Orphans. So a quick snapshot of really what we've done over the past 3 or so years. But the message is $30,000 from the Rochester clubs, the 3 Rochester clubs, translated into roughly $300,000 that we've spent on these grant efforts worldwide. Just in parting thought here, I don't know if you've seen the Rotary magazine that just hit your news mailbox this week, but the Rotary International president stated in the magazine there, the foundation transforms your gifts into projects that change lives. So it is Foundation Month. The 3 clubs have been very active with 3 district grants and 3 global grants within the past 4 years. And for that, again, I think I'm proud of it, and I think you should all be proud as well. So again, I want you all to share that message. Again, we're all Rotarians, and we are changing the world. And in this place here, I'm training. This is your training now for the wrap up in the meeting. But I'd like you all to make sure that you have your elevator pitch ready to go. And I originally thought that Rotary was the largest service organization in the world. And I could be wrong, but what I found on the internet is that the Lions have us beat by a couple 100,000 people. They're at 1.4 million, where we're at 1.2, but we are the oldest. So part of your elevator pitch now is that we're the oldest and nearly the largest service club. And with that, then here's the pitch. So are you involved in Rotary? Yes, I am. What does Rotary do? Well, we do service projects within our community, but we also do international projects. And I'm involved in Rotary, and it's the oldest and nearly largest service organization in the world. We're involved in both local and international service. We currently have grants underway in Guatemala for stoves and nutrition, Uganda for teleeducation, and are partnered with World Without Orphans to help increase our efforts on orphanage throughout the world due to COVID. And the most recent grant activity we has included pulmonary nutrition, water, teleeducation, and orphans. And we've generated almost $300,000 with only $30,000 invested in the 3 Rochester clubs. So hopefully you can all remember a couple points there, but your contributions to your clubs and to Rotary here make a difference. And again, we appreciate the efforts that you do for us and all that we can do in the rest of the world here through this committee. So thank you. A couple of minutes for questions here.
Do we have any questions?
Everybody's practicing their pitch right now.
Rotary Clubs, you probably explained everything that I'm going to ask about as you went through that, but the amount of dollars that you are referring to is impressive and outstanding. Are they all Rotary dollars, and are they coming from district grants, international grants, Rotary grants that you have applied for from the Rochester clubs?
If it's a district grant, all of the money is coming from contributions or matches from the district. So when I say all of it, so some of it comes from Rochester, some of it we fundraise from other clubs, and then some of it comes through matching through the district contributions. If it's a global grant, then there's money from the clubs. In this case, the slide I backed up here, 10,000 from the clubs, 10,000 from the district in the district designated funds, and then some money from Rotary, the Rotary Foundation itself. So if it's a global grant, we've got to get it through the district, pass through the district and get their funds, and then we pass it on to Rotary International and get the matches through the Rotary International. So this example here shows how you could take 10,000 from our Rochester clubs and turn it into 35,000 at the global level. So in summary, if it's a district grant, there's only matching at the district level. If it's a global grant, then it's district and global. And again, those funds have been decreasing here with losing a little bit of membership here. The grant funds available have been decreasing a little bit.
Sarah has a question on Zoom.
Who does?
Sarah on Zoom.
I can't.
Go ahead, Sarah.
Hello, and Mike or Ashok, please correct me if I'm wrong, but I just want to start at the really individual level. If you would like to contribute or donate to the work of the World Community Service Group, basically, if you make a contribution to our club's foundation, then that gives our club foundation more funds to work with to support these grants. It's not through our dues that we are contributing to these projects. For example, I just wanted to clarify that it's through our club's foundation that some of this seed money comes from to get some of these grants started.
And I'll just say for the Rotary Risers, the World Community Service budget is about a third of our dues. Our two big projects are the My Book Day and World Community Service. That's where most of our money is spent. So we do use some of our dues to contribute to this. But Sarah's right. Individual contributions are appreciated, and right now they're actually needed on the World Without Orphan grant, as we really do need to find whatever $5,500 roughly.
Yeah, Sarah, I just would echo that Major Bob Mueller has done a tremendous job at building the financial registry and the tools that we need to connect what contributions we make at the Thursday club level to the foundation. So if people have questions, I would ask Major Bob to be a person to respond to. And he also works and sits on our World Community Service.
Thank you so much, Mike, Ashok, and Lauren. As a thank you for your presentation, a gift will be given to the Community Health Service, Inc. And as we close out today, I want to give thanks to all who assisted, Allie and Joel, Suzanne, John, Julie, and a special thanks to our speakers, Mike, Ashok, and Lauren. We do have some scripts. If you're interested in any script cards today, they are available for sale as you go out the door. Thank you all. Serve to change lives. We are adjourned.
Thank you, Audrey, for the time.
Thank you.
Bye.